Okay, hello. So today this lesson is for a kindergarten class and we're going to plant a lima bean. Okay, class, so a couple things you're going to have to learn today is when I say class, class, you're going to practice your yes, yes. Okay, ready? So class, class.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. So when I say class, class, that means you have to regain attention. This is going to be a super fun project where we're going to talk about lima beans and how to plant them. So first, let's talk about a couple terms we're going to be using. Our first term is germinating. Do you know what germinating means?
No.
So that is the second stage of a life cycle that we're going to actually be seeing personally. And we're talking about that a little bit more, so I'm going to ask you again, and we'll see if you kind of understand it. Our plant cycle is going to be a cycle that's going to go from one point all the way around to the other. The seed, do you know what a seed is?
A little bean.
That is a really awesome guess. I'm so glad you said that. So yes, a seed is a flowering plant's unit of reproduction. So that little seed is going to probably turn into something else, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. And then finally, a mature plant. The mature plant is what it becomes at the very end, and we're going to see what happens to a plant at the very end of its life cycle. For this project, we're going to have a couple different materials that you're going to need. So first of all, we have our materials out in front of here, and when I say it, you're going to also grab one. So first we have our little lima bean. If you can grab your lima bean and hold it up and show me you have one. Perfect, set that down. We have a paper towel. Awesome, thank you. And then finally a little baggie that we are going to use. So hold it for baggie and let me see it. Awesome. And finally, I have a squirt bottle. I won't squirt you with it unless you're not paying attention. Just kidding. I will not do that. So, we will have a lot of fun, and at the end of our whole entire lesson using all our materials, you are going to be able to see how a lima bean grows in that life cycle that we're going to be talking about. Now let's talk about what we know that plants need. Over here on my board, I'm going to be writing the needs down. Can you think of any? I'll put what we think in purple and then we'll come back to it. So what do you think a plant needs?
Dirt.
Dirt. That is a really good guess there. Do plants just eat dirt? Is that how they eat?
No.
No. What do you think they need to eat?
The sunlight.
The sunlight, that is a good thing too. I'm looking for one more major part that a plant needs.
Water.
Water! That is awesome, yes. Okay. Yes, so they are going to need all those things. We're going to fact check ourselves. We're going to make sure that those actually line up to what our little lima beans are going to need. So, pick up your seed once again. Do you think this is the first part of the plant cycle? Is that where you think plants kind of originate from?
No.
No? Well, where do you think where a plant comes from?
In the ground.
In the ground. So that is an awesome guess, Kinsey. I'm so happy you said that because yes, we put seeds in the ground, but for our life cycle, we're gonna come start over here. We're gonna make a nice little life cycle. Don't make fun of my drawing. But we're gonna start over here with this bean. So on your piece of paper, I want you to draw a bean at the top of your piece of paper. Awesome job, you have your bean. So this is, of course, a bean, but we're gonna act as if it's our seed. We are now going to give the seed something to help lock in moisture. So you said that what a plant needs is dirt, correct?
Yes.
So another thing that a plant is gonna need is something to lock in that moisture. So I'm gonna come join you down here, and we're gonna take our handy dandy little paper towel. We're actually gonna rip it in half. I didn't need that big of one, so you can take half of mine. Okay, so now we're gonna take our little baggie. We're gonna take our paper towel, and I'm gonna squirt it over here, and we are going to give it some water. We're gonna say squirt, 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 squirt. Your hands may get a little bit wet here. Okay, Kinsey, can I trust you to spray your paper towel?
Maybe.
If you spray your neighbor, I'm gonna have to take it away, okay? So give it a couple squirt, 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 squirts. So we kind of determined that water is probably a really big part that we're gonna need. So taking a green one, I'm gonna go and circle water to let us know, yeah, that's probably what it's gonna need. So now we have our nice little wet paper towel. I want you to take your nice little bean and we're just gonna like wrap it in that front portion of it and we're gonna drop it down, but we're gonna make sure we can still kind of see the bean when we put it in. Give it a nice little, kind of like you're wrapping a pig in a blanket, or maybe like when you put somebody in a blanket. Like maybe if you have any younger siblings or anything like that. Awesome, so we're gonna put it nice and down in that little baggie here. And squish it a little bit. Make sure it's nice and moisturized in there. So what we just did is we just planted this seed into what we're going to use as dirt. As you can see, you said that we put it in dirt, right? Yes. Is there anywhere else we could put seeds at for it to grow?
A vase.
A vase, yes. So you see flowers come out of vases. Have you ever seen your mom, do you like avocados?
No.
No, but have you ever seen your mom take the middle of an avocado before?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is a pit. That kind of pit is also a seed. And so what your mom's usually doing maybe is she's putting that little pod in water. And so that seed's gonna then spurt out in only water. So that's kind of what another place where plants grow in addition to dirt. And this is our version of just in water. And so what we did here was our paper towels became our dirt. We'll be able to check on our plant to see if it moved anywhere else in the life cycle over here. Do you remember that word I asked you earlier?
Germinate.
Yes, germination. Yes, that's so good. Thank you for remembering that. So yes, so our next stage is our germination stage. Any guess on what happens in that germination stage?
It grows.
It does. So I have a little graphic here that I'm going to pull up. So we have this nice little picture of a seed in germination. So we're going to come over here, and on your paper as well, I want you to make your little seed. But I want it to give it a little life. So you know when you plant a little bean in dirt, sometimes you're going to see what color come up out of the ground?
Green.
Green, yes. So we want to give it a little bit of green. You don't have a green pencil with you right now, but we're going to go ahead and just pretend on my board here. We're going to give it a little bit of green sprouts coming out. Get one more this way. So there we go. There is our bean that's making little sprouts. Can you all see that when this seed is in this germination stage, it is forming new life? So you see the little bit coming out right there? That's getting ready for our next step in the cycle. So it grows even more after this one. Does anyone have any guess from our vocabulary words of where it goes next?
Out of the dirt?
It does. Great guess. It does come out of the dirt even more after that. So that was a phenomenal guess, Mackenzie. So we're going to screw. It becomes a seedling. So it has even more little sprouts. I'm going to go ahead and erase one of these. I think that in the germination it barely starts, right? So we're going to make our little bean again on your paper. And we're going to give it even more kind of longer ones. Maybe with a couple more leaves coming out of the ground, right? So we have barely a little bit life, a little bit more of life, and that stage is called our seedling. Next, we're going to move into our bigger plant. So, do you have a favorite fruit, Mackenzie?
An apple.
An apple? So, where does apples come from?
On a tree.
On a tree, that's great. Do you think that huge trees start from this stage?
Maybe.
AV, it does. Every single plant that you see actually starts from this level right here. So now we're gonna make that sort of tree. A lima bean is gonna turn into a bean plant. So now we have the term mature plant that we talked about a little bit earlier. So I'm gonna say them on your paper. You're gonna go in there and write. You're gonna make a little tall little stem. It's gonna have lots of leaves. The seed isn't necessarily visible anymore because it's sprouted from the roots right here. Okay, so we started with planting our seed in our germination stage. Next, we're going to pin it, pin mine up here so you can see it a little bit better. What do you think happens after the mature plant, that very last step we just wrote?
It just grows.
It does grow, and then what typical plants are going to produce is
Apples.
apples, but apples also have our first step here. Can somebody call it out for me?
A seed.
Seed. Yes, that is awesome. So we have what's called the life cycle of a plant. So we're going to make our little arrows here. I want you to do the same thing on your paper, connecting each part. Because then this mature plant produces seeds. The seeds get planted or eaten, and they go right back through the cycle again. So we're going to come over here and look at our needs again, moving on from the life cycle. So let's say all these needs that we have here. Is there anyone that we wrote down that we didn't talk about yet?
The sun.
The sun, yes. So will my plant do well here against my board?
No.
No, our plants need light. And so what we're going to do with our plants to see them form this stage is actually go put them in the window in our classroom. So that is what we are going to do a little bit later after our lesson and before you go out to recess. Now with our needs that we wrote down on the board, they're going to be very important to remember because you're going to have to write them down at the very end of the lesson. Do humans have the same type of needs?
The water.
The water.
Water.
Yes. So when you said earlier when we talked about how plants need sunlight, that's what they kind of live off of. Do we have anything that we kind of live off of?
Food.
Food, yes. So kind of that dirt, then living in there, getting those nutrients in order to grow. We need that type of food. We also need healthy things like sunlight, good foods, good exercise, and that's what kind of the plant needs too. Needs that bright part of the sunlight, they need that water to grow, and then also the dirt. So with that water, are we going to let our paper towels dry out?
No.
No, so we're going to have to add what to it to keep it going?
More water.
More water. Great job. So today, class, we did so well about looking at the lifestyle of a plant and going to do our own little experiment here with the life cycle of a lima bean and see this play out. At the end of this, I'm going to erase the board and you guys are going to write them again, this time using various colors to show what you learned, and also make sure you write down those needs that we talked about as well. But you all did a great job today. I'm very proud of you, and thank you so much for being able to do this lesson with me.